Some days you just have had it up to here, right? And you just don't feel like yourself. And you don't feel like doing anything about that either. Okay, so let's say a couple days go by and you're looking at what just happened and you say, okay, like this is enough. I've been in this position way too many times and I want to do something about it. And you're thinking about doing some deep transformational work. Well, today's vlog is about that. I'm Wendy Yellen. This is the Art of Transformation. And if you haven't already liked and subscribed, please do that. You'll get notified of all the newest vlogs, which are coming out as fast as I can make them. And you'll help others find this work too, others who are like you. So thank you. When you're looking for something to help you feel better or change or deal with whatever's on your plate, there are many ways you can go. These days, cognitive therapy, behavioral therapy, CBT is pretty darn common and popular. When I was being trained, I was trained in a very different kind of therapy, and all the training that I've done has been in very different kind of work than cognitive and behavioral. For me, those kinds of work, that kind of work doesn't work for me. It is actually makes me feel bad. Now, I'm speaking to those of you who have had a similar experience from me. Some of my best friends, literally, some of my oldest and best friends are cognitive behavioral therapists or psychologists along those bents. They do really well. They help their clients. I have great respect for them. I'm just saying it doesn't resonate with me, which is why I do the work that I do. So if this video is for you, if that's who you are, if you're wanting something that is not a change in thinking and is not trying to get you to feel differently about something, but is something that comes from really deep inside, that is the real you, the you without the crust of your history, and gets to bubble up and emerge from you without your trying to remember to act a certain way. For me, that's the kind of change that I didn't even know was possible, but now I do. And I see it all the time and I love it. And that's what I want to share with you. So what would it look like specifically? When I was in college, and was in therapy, I have no idea what we did. It was a terrible match. So maybe we shouldn't even go there. And besides, my parents were quote unquote making me do it because they were worried about me. However, it kind of had the opposite effect. So I guess what I'm saying is the very first thing is, do you want to feel differently? Do you feel like you're not really being your full self? Do you sense that there's much more to you in a really positive way than you're being right now? Or do you at least hope so? Because if that's you, then I'm talking to you. When you go to a cognitive therapist, they're going to be interested in how you think and how you feel from the way you think. And they're going to try to help you understand things differently so you can think and feel a different way. Now, I'm not a cognitive behavioral therapist of any kind. I'm just telling you my read on it. For me, again, just for me, if you try to tell me to think differently about a way that I'm feeling, I just basically blank out. I'm not interested in your trying to give me an intellectual understanding of myself that would be more common sense or would help me, even though it would. Because for me, I don't think, having been a therapist for more than 40 years, I don't think that you can change from deep change from a surface thought or pretending or trying to pretend that you feel differently. Again, this may not be your experience of cognitive therapy. It's my experience of bits of that. It makes me, it grates against my nerve when someone explains it. If I would just think this other way, I would be so much happier. Well, of course I would be so much happier if I could, but any attempt to do that would be superficial. I don't want it to be thinking it because my head keeps telling me, okay, that's reasonable. I'm being unreasonable. I should just be XYZ. I don't want to think that way. I want to literally, honestly feel that way. Not because because I think I'd be happier, but because I honestly feel that way. All right. Now, so one of the problems is that when we're working with the mind and you're telling the mind, you should feel differently, you should think differently, there's an underneath assumption. Now, stay with me here. There's an underneath assumption that you won't get there naturally, that there is no mechanism inside the self that can actually take you to a more expansive version of yourself, to a kinder, more loving version of yourself. And I think a lot of people actually believe that because they have no experience of this other part of themselves. But what I've learned working with Eidetics for myself and with my clients is that there is that part of us that actually does emerge once the crust that covers us from our expectations, from our history, as that starts to dissolve and blow away, we come through differently. That's real. So I don't need to be told to think differently or just act nicer. I don't need to kind of pretend or to bend myself or to ignore, or to put kind of a lid and just grip my teeth. I don't have to do that because there's something in me and in all of us. There's something in us that is naturally kinder, is naturally more loving once that crust of history is lifted off. So one of my clients once said to me, I really like that you don't tell me what to do, and that the eidetic images which come from inside of me are leading me down the path that is actually me. She says, I really like that because I can really trust the images because I know, I know, I feel, I see, I understand how they're me and how they're opening me up, as opposed to somebody from the outside saying something or suggesting something. So what does an eidetic session look like? When I work with a new private client, I do what is called consciousness mapping. And this is a whole series of images that Dr. Asen developed that reveal in huge, great relief, very, very visible, where the stuck points are in us from all parts of our life, physical health, emotional health, relationships, confidence, sensuality, sexuality, every part of what it means to be human. And so I'll go through this mapping with a new client, and I couple it with what they're telling me they want in their life right now. Not what they may want 5 years down the line, but what they're really, really, really wanting right now. And then through a complex process that happens outside the session, I go through the different images that came from that client, and I put it together with what they say they want. And the images will actually show me very directly, it's not magic or it's no mystery, will show me where the person is locked down against themselves. It'll also show me the potential places where there's a little bit or maybe even a huge opening for that person to begin to allow more of themselves to come out. So, for example, if one of my clients was a multiple award winner, but she was not able to appreciate herself in her own field, despite the fact of dozens of awards and huge recognition in her community. So for her, we needed many things, but I looked in the images in her mapping for places where there would be an opening to be seen. So literally be seen. So she was not seen as a child due to some traumas in the family, not seen at all. And she wasn't able to have a sense of agency in the family, a sense that she could have an impact on her family because of the trauma that was in her family. So as we worked with the different traumas and we worked with her relationship with her parents in the images, this is a critical difference. Our parents, whether they're alive or gone, that relationship, let's say they're still alive, we have that relationship with them. But in our minds, in our eidetic mind, in our consciousness, all of those interactions, all of those expectations, all of that feedback on how to be, all of the history, all of their history, the parents' history, all of that is, yes, in a relationship right now, if they're still alive or even if they're gone. But more importantly for Eidetics, these images of who we are vis-a-vis our parents and how we're supposed to act and how we feel about ourselves, it's all inside of us. So it doesn't matter if we've forgiven a parent or understand where they came from or anything like that, because these intense, like templates, almost like screwdrivers, where you're kind of screwed into position, they're inside of us and they hold us to a certain way of being. When we work with these images during a session, the person sees them in what used to be called Technicolor. You see yourself in life or in the images from the past, creating the persona that you are now, putting that crust of history over the bigger, fuller, more expansive you. So the first thing is, as you're seeing an image, which how that gets chosen, maybe I'll go into that in a different vlog, but you're seeing an image. And one of the first things that happens is it feels like you're recognizing yourself in a way you may never have seen yourself before. You can't, it's very hard to push it away and you feel it. So let's say maybe you feel yourself refusing to take in love. even though you really want it. Or you feel yourself unseen by your parents in the image, but you also recognize that response to feeling unseen. Maybe it's anger, maybe it's disappearing, whatever it is for you. So you're seeing this experience in an image that's from your past, but at the same time is completely familiar to you now. Which is why maybe you can understand that we're not actually working with history or memory in the session, not really. We're working with the way these images are inside of you running the show. So it's not about remembering and understanding and forgiving. It's about literally experiencing an aspect of history that is going on right now in your head and in your life. So, for example, when someone gave me a gift, very kindly gave me a gift, and every aspect of my body just bristled against it. I didn't want this gift from this person. She was reminding me of my mother. And despite her kindness, despite her real and deep caring about me and of me, and the generosity, and despite the fact that I actually wanted this particular item and could have used it in my life, I just couldn't take it. I started bristling against it, and I couldn't receive her kindness and her generosity in that moment. And it felt so strange, especially because this particular thing, I actually was going to buy one for myself. It was so strange. So you can see that this is not my mother giving me something that doesn't fit me, or going shopping with her, or any of these terrible memories that I have. It was the way this template, if you will, of how I respond is running in me. No matter whether I understand my mother, no matter whether I love her, no matter whether we worked it out, no matter that she's gone, none of that stuff mattered, because it was in my head, in my whole body, and I reverberate with it. Now, maybe you don't have that exact example, but I'm sure you have many examples where you feel yourself responding in the exact opposite way that makes any sense whatsoever. When that's happening, you can be pretty darn sure that you're responding to what we call in Eidetics a filter. So in this case, the filter of my mother, who I was with my mother and who she was with me, was completely in front of my eyes, and everything was being filtered through that experience with my mother, irregardless of the fact that she's gone, that I've worked it through on many levels, and that I don't feel that way about her. I don't have that angry pushing away feeling about her anymore. But that template in response, that knee-jerk response, is inside. So someone will, perhaps in a session, might come and start talking about their knee-jerk response to their sister, for example, who's driving them nuts, or their partner or spouse, or the way that they keep acting poorly and in a misguided way towards their own business, where instead of actually working on what matters, they're drowning in their phone. Those are all filters that have been created. Each of us have our own unique filter. And the way we work with them in Eidetics is to work with an image that evokes that knee-jerk response, and then kind of keep opening it up, opening it up, opening it up, So that then what happens, for example, is that instead of feeling that knee-jerk response, leave me alone, don't give me that gift that I actually want, the response is the response becomes something perhaps like actually letting myself be touched by the caring, or letting yourself be open to the love that your partner wants to give, even though you're pushing it away. Or in this case of my award-winning client, to actually feel and see the incredible degree of their genius, of their creativity, of their ability to actually start to experience, so much so that they promote themselves as an artist, that they can't wait for their grandchildren to do art with them because they're an artist. These are all different ways that we might work with a situation rather than talk about it. And I'll probably go into other ways that we work a little bit more deeply in other videos. I think that's enough for now. And I hope that's of interest to you. And I will see you on the next recording.